The forest had always been quiet at night, the kind of quiet that made you hear your own breathing, but that evening something felt wrong to Daniel Hayes, a small-town mechanic who lived alone on the edge of Pinewood Valley, because as he walked back from checking traps near the old logging road, he heard a sound that didn't belong, soft footsteps, uneven, desperate, followed by a faint gasp that sounded like pain, and when he turned his flashlight toward the trees, he saw her stumbling out of the shadows like someone who had run out of strength, her dress torn, hair tangled with leaves, skin scratched and muddy, eyes wide with fear, and for a second Daniel froze because Pinewood Valley wasn't a place where strangers just appeared, especially not at night, especially not deep in the woods, but instinct kicked in before fear could, and he rushed forward, catching her just as her knees buckled, feeling how light she was, how cold her hands were shaking as she clutched his shirt like he was the last solid thing in the world, and she whispered, "Please, don't let them find me." Before passing out in his arms, Daniel had lived a simple life, early mornings, greasy engines, evenings with black coffee and old radio songs, but nothing had prepared him for carrying an unconscious woman through the forest to his pickup truck, glancing over his shoulder the whole time because something in her fear felt expensive, dangerous, the kind of fear people didn't get from being lost but from being hunted. And when he reached his cabin and laid her on the couch, the flickering lamp revealed details he hadn't seen before. Her dress, though ruined, was clearly designer, her shoes were not meant for dirt roads, and the faint glint on her wrist, even under mud, looked like a watch worth more than his truck, and as she stirred awake hours later, panic flashed across her face until she saw Daniel step back with his hands raised, gently saying he wasn't going to hurt her, that she was safe here, and she studied him like she was trying to decide whether safety was still something that existed, before finally whispering her name was Evelyn Carter, though the way she said it sounded rehearsed, like a lie she had practiced too many times. Over the next day, Daniel noticed things that didn't add up, how she flinched at the sound of engines, how she checked windows like someone expecting men in suits to burst through, how she didn't ask about phones or the police but instead begged him not to call anyone, and when he finally asked what she was running from, she looked at him with eyes heavy with exhaustion and said, "A life that was killing me slowly." And later that night, when a black SUV rolled slowly past the dirt road leading to his cabin, headlights cutting through the trees like knives, Daniel understood this wasn't just a lost woman's story, because no one searched the woods like that for someone who didn't matter. The truth came out in fragments. Evelyn wasn't just wealthy, she was the sole heir to a multi-million-dollar corporate empire, raised in boardrooms instead of playgrounds, engaged to a man chosen by contracts not love, watched constantly, controlled constantly, and when she finally tried to walk away, to disappear for just one night and feel like a human being instead of an asset, the people paid to protect her turned into people paid to retrieve her at any cost. And Daniel listened in silence as she spoke, realizing how strange it was that someone with everything could sound more trapped than he had ever felt in his quiet, broke, honest life. Days passed, tension thickening with every unfamiliar sound, yet something else grew too, late-night conversations, shared meals, laughter that surprised them both, and a connection that felt dangerously real, because Evelyn wasn't the millionaire heiress here, she was just a woman learning how to breathe again, and Daniel wasn't just a mechanic, he was the first person who saw her without wanting something from her. And when the men finally came, polite smiles, sharp eyes, offering money, threatening consequences, Daniel stood in the doorway of his cabin with dirt under his nails and fear in his chest but steel in his voice, realizing that sometimes the smallest towns produce the strongest kind of courage, and as Evelyn watched him choose her over safety, over money, over his quiet life, she understood something she had never learned in all her years of luxury, that freedom doesn't come from wealth, it comes from someone willing to stand with you when the world is trying to drag you back. And as the night closed in once again over Pinewood Valley, both of them knew this was only the beginning of a story that would change their lives forever, because when a small-town man and a runaway millionaire cross paths, destiny doesn't whisper, it crashes. And if you want to know how their dangerous journey unfolds, how love is tested against power, money, and betrayal, and how one choice can rewrite a lifetime, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now, because the next chapter will reveal secrets that no amount of money can hide, and you won't want to miss what happens next.